story that must be told. Here's a little story that must be told. Here's a little story. Here's a little story.
My name is Derek Brown, surname Government, aka Vitamin D. I wear many hats in the music industry. I DJ for one, that along with audio engineering. I mix, master, record, produce records when I'm blessed enough to do so. I make a lot of beats. I'm a vocalist, an arranger, drummer now. My first exposure to music would be being at my father's rehearsals. He was in some prominent funk groups out of LA. My first musical memories are going to practice with him. I used to love the bass, so there's a story where they couldn't find me for a little while, and they find me by the bass amp with my head sleep in the bass amp in the hole. If you know about bass amps, there's a hole right there. Like, my head is in the hole, and they've been rehearsing for like a couple hours, so they thought maybe my hearing may have been damaged. They were like, yo, you know, so my dad had to come to my mom and be like, yo, little homie fell asleep in the bass amp, man. I don't know if he good or whatever, but turns out he was grooming me for a long, beautiful, and tumultuous relationship with music. So my family is way more talented than me as far as, like, they can really sing for real and play instruments for real. I just can make it sound good on a record, you know. There's a difference between that and playing an instrument with any kind of band or ensemble, being able to read and things like that. Like, I'm from that cloth on my dad's side and my mom's side, really. I come from two artists. So I was born in LA, so I happen to be blessed with being around the first all hip-hop radio station ever. 1580 K-Day. Greg Mack, the Mac Attack. Dr. Dre was on the radio. The Dr. Dre. Egyptian Lover. Aladdin. All these great DJs were DJing in the 7 o'clock traffic jam, and before that, and it was nonstop hip-hop. When I got my first radio, and I wanted a radio early because that was the thing. You know, you walk down the street with your boombox. That's how you feel like you know, you cool if you don't get jacked for it or whatever, you know. They used to broadcast live concerts on K-Day too. So Run DMC, I want to say in 82 or something, I heard that one live on the radio. I remember Curtis Blow and Uncle Jam's Army mixes and all this. Just like, the radio was stupid back then, like on the LA radio. Once I got my own radio and I figured out how to record off of that joint, it was over. And then my mom and dad got me a little Fisher-Price tape recorder and was like, man, you ain't going to keep messing with our stereo. And I'm trying to tape the radio and sounds and my voice in this little Fisher-Price, like little plastic tape recorder thing. Then I eventually had the nerve to ask, can y'all get me my own boombox? I need a boombox, you know? And we went to the swap meet. They got me a little boombox. And from there, I was always taping all the new songs. And I'd bring them to the playground and bring them around and be like, man, I got the new UTFO or whatever it is, you know, Houdini, Curtis Blow, Fat Boys. That was my joint, the Fat Boys and all that. So I used to get tapes from my cousin from the East Coast, and I would eventually memorize all the Enjoy in early Sugar Hill records and all that stuff too. And of course, Treacherous 3 was huge too. My cousin Sugar Bear is from the Emerald Street Boys too. So he's one of the earlier DJs in the Seattle scene. So when I came up here to visit the family in Seattle, he's DJing. I remember one time he went to Seattle Center and the Treacherous 3 was performing and the Emerald Street Boys opened up for him. And of course the family was like, yeah, your cousin Bear's they're gonna do a rap show at the Seattle Center. And you know, me and my cousin, we like 8. But we knew that song, Yes You Can from the Treacherous 3 for sure. That was the cut. They had these like I can't even remember what it was. It might have been some sheets. I can't remember, but they had like some sheets with the light back behind them, and all you could see is their silhouettes. And they was dancers. They could pop lock like they was some serious dancers. So they was back to pop locking with the little silhouette. And me and my cousin was like, "Yo, this shit's great! Like, yo, look at this." And it's our cousin, so that's another thing where just seeing that kind of stuff growing up, I wasn't sure whatever influenced me. I didn't think I would get into it, of course, in them days, and didn't have that kind of foresight. But that's the foundation right there, you know. I've seen the Emerald Street Boys maybe 3 times. They had the Jerry curls and real charismatic. All the girls seemed to love them. I mean, that was superhero shit to me. A shout out to Mr. Steve Sneed. Steve Sneed and this guy Rico Bembry were in a funk band, and they had a production company called Sneeko. And they had a program up at Madrona Community Center, back when Madrona was still the hood, like that. And so they would have all these black productions, and it would eventually blossom into the programming that they had at Langston Hughes, right? So those guys, along with Tony B from Teleclear, they produced the first Emerald Street Boys record. Steve Sneed had a production called Boys Will Be Boys, and my cousin Ed, aka Sugar Bear, was in that production as well, and that may have been the first time I seen him on stage, low key, without the they were rapping in the show, but I didn't see Emerald Street Boys. I saw my cousin first. So fast forward to '88, I'm in one of those programs that Steve Sneed runs at Langston Hughes. We moved to Seattle at that point from LA, and I discovered Glenn Boyd on the radio, and I used to tape his shows all the time, right? And that was like, okay. They had a store called Music Menu, who was ran by Mike Clark. He's the guru, Mike Clark. So Mike Clark and Supreme LaRock actually were at Music Menu making these tapes. And so I would mow lawns and go buy 12 inches and get these tapes that Supreme LaRock were making, and Mike Clark was the manager or the buyer of the store. Mm-hmm. And those were my first introductions to seeing actual hip-hop community in one spot, was Music Menu, right? Fast forward, I'm in this play for Summer Youth Employment Program, and my uncle's like, yeah, man, we're going to actually have you with a leading part in the play. The thought of being on stage was like, yo, nah, hell no, that's crazy. That's like, I just couldn't see it. Yeah, Sneed put me on stage in this leading role, and the first time we did the play, we did like a month of rehearsal and all this prep and vocal lessons and how to breathe and blocking and how to work a stage and all this stuff. And Steve had me out there. The show was a success, and the first time I seen like people clap and give us a standing ovation, I was like, oh shit, might like this. I can dig this. All right, cool. And that was 8th grade going into freshman year in high school. So I'm doing play theater after school and going to Garfield High School. Shout out to all the Bulldogs. Y'all know what it is. Here it is. And so we doing that, and I started like meeting my community. All these guys from Yesler Terrace, because I'm over there by Yesler, Bryant Manor. And there's B-boys up in there, old school like Fleet of Party and all these guys, and the Jeff Staten and guys that are still B-boys to this day, that Solo Doe and all them old school cats was around. Like that's still when hip-hop was a hood thing. After a while, you love this music, you start understanding people are doing it, and you just start pulling up, right? We had some school assemblies where, like, I want to say PD2 was the group that came and did an assembly at our school or something. May have been brothers of the same mind, or one of them groups from that era, like the old school guys before me. And I was like, okay. And then what was really pivotal for me is I seen Ice Cold Mode. Sorry, man. Sorry, Merce. That's my fault. Ice Cold Mode. There you go. So I seen him rock. and he tore that joint down. Like, Merce could rock. Like, Merce was hard, man. So he got some radio playing there to where it was like, oh, there's a cat from the hood on the radio. And he did the assembly, and he went to my high school. And I was like, oh, man, there's a homie from the hood doing this? I got to do one of these assemblies, man. I'm starting to meet cats after school. You could always tell somebody rap because back then a B-boy was an anomaly. You know, like that wasn't popular culture quite yet. It was getting there, but it wasn't quite popular culture yet. So you know a rapper or a B-boy or somebody that was with the culture if you see him. So after a while, I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? You rap? And then it was back in the days when you would go, people, if they knew you rap, they gonna bring some other rappers to you to battle on the playground or after school or something. So I seen some guys rapping in ciphers and stuff like that in the hallways and stuff. So I'm like, hey, I spit my little raps I've been writing. And it's like, oh, okay, homie, nice. I used to try to copy Big Daddy Kane and do the course, the fourth, the lost, like rap, do that kind of thing with a little West Coast flavor in there. And then I started meeting my tribal family at school. And by the end of freshman year, we got to do one of them assemblies. I don't know which one it was. But at that point, I did have like some makeshift turntable things. So I did a little scratching off my tape deck and the turntable. And then I got from behind the turntables, and I'm the rapping DJ, and I freestyle. And from there, I started falling in love with the stage element. So I was terrible at school, so I had to go to night school, summer school, and I met other crews out there, and a lot of us was rappers. I met so many people at night school, for sure, because we was all fuck-ups, rapping instead of going to school, so we had to make up our classes. Now we in night school rapping, you know. There was a lot of dope music from all genres at Garfield, first of all. So there was some grunge cats, some like early grunge rocker cats that were dope. And I go to some of the rehearsals because I meet them at doing shows like Amnesty International shows or like these weird shows. And back in the 80s, in early 90s, they would pair rock shows and rappers all in one show. And so like all scenes would kind of be together, especially at a like Amnesty International event or these like local talent shows. There'll be different genres. So you meet guys and you're like, oh man, this band's funky, man. I'm gonna pull up at your rehearsal. Let me do a rap verse and and you start connecting with people, and before you know it, like you understand what the scene is, Garfield was like the equivalent to the gym for a boxer. It's where I got all my early reps in. And understood who the competition was and understood what I need to do to excel at what I'm, to excel at rap. All the tribal homies, we met at Garfield. So I met the narcotic cats first because they were in my grade. They was in my class. But my neighbor was class of 9-1. He was a couple years older than me. And a couple of his homies rapped. So he introduced me to Bill, a.k.a. B-Self, and we formed Ghetto Children, even though we didn't quite get along at first. It was weird. I was like a young, annoying kid, probably. I'm a freshman, and they're juniors, But I could rap, though, and I had pause mixtapes, and I was beginning to learn how to make beats and all that kind of stuff. I knew how to work a drum machine, but not a sampler. They already knew how to do that stuff. And they were connected with this guy named Father Rhyme, a.k.a. Cliff, who was older than them, but had a full studio in his garage, 2 crispy turntables, crates and crates of records, samples, anything you could think of. All there at the crib. So when I got introduced to Bill started taking me over to Father Rhyme's house because they were thinking about forming a group. And they had super bars. They were like poets and rappers. And to this day, Bill just has extraordinary lyrics, I'm clicking with those guys. We're all hanging out at Cliff's house. And Cliff's in the South End, and we're CD guys. So, man, we done had to duck bullets and all kind of stuff to go over to Cliff's house because we're out of bounds at that point. And we're from they're still on that gang crap going on too. And then all the gangs hated the Dreads and the guys with the African medallion because they feel like we're anti-gang, which in a sense we were. You know, like we ain't got to do that. You know, I get it. You know, but we ain't got to do that. The early '90s was tough times, but it was so worth it. I mean, I'll duck some gunshots if I could practice on some crispy 1200s, like, cause there's nothing like that in my crib. I'm on some 202s or like some janky belt drive turntable. I inherited a mixer from my man, like didn't even know what it was, and I was like, "You got a DJ mixer?" He's like, "I don't know, you know, like, you want it?" Like, shit, you know what I mean? So, we was at Cliff's house so much, and Cliff was gonna deploy on like some kind of naval thing or something like that. And he was just like, "Man, you know what, man? I'm never gonna be dedicated to this the way you guys are." And he just gave us the sampler and the 4-track and the mic. He just gave that shit to us. Bro, y'all got it. And of course we're like, what? Yo, we finna go fucking crazy. From there it was a wrap. We're going. We would meet at second, third period, exchange assignments to make sure we got all our work in for the day. And I had a little system. By lunchtime, we out. We're back to the lab. We're recording Ghetto Children demos. All the early tribal shit. All that shit was when we was in high school and my skipping school. My mom went to work before I had to go to school and got back way later. There's no way she would know until she got the report card. Then it was like, yo, 100 absences? Are you serious? Like, a couple times I came home and the whole studio was gone. And my progress report sitting there in place of where my equipment was. But of course, you got it tucked in the closet. As soon as she's gone, I'm whipping that shit back out. Put that shit back in the closet before she gets. And then, of course, you play demos. It's the Walkman days, you know. I play while I'm working on the Walkman, and people be like, yo, you can, like, what? Your shit sound like a record, for real. And I'm like, man, I got a sampler from my mans, you know, like. So from there, people just started coming to my house to try to get their shit to sound at least close to, you know, it wasn't professional, but it sounded like a song, you know. And that's when my studio shit started, my studio aspect of my career started being born. It's just like I'm meeting the community. And it's like, yo, I can't get my shit to sound like that. Can you help me out? Come on down to 2808, man. My mother had mixed feelings at first, but ended up being one of my biggest supporters ever. And the community, the hip-hop community, just, she really welcomed all these cats from the hood with all our problems. Just the police, the FBI done came to our house looking for people a few times because they know the criminals rapping. And I'm sure when I look back at it, like, my mom was real happy that she could foster our dreams and support the community that way. But I don't know, it had to be tiresome to her. I don't know. All the old school cats that used to record in the basement, they still go by and check on my mom's, and like it's all like it's like an extension of her family. So that part of it she absolutely loves. Like she can't get enough of that, and the homies come through for her. So I would say she supported the town, low key. I would say that. From Emerald Street Boys on, she took their first promo pictures, you know. It's a family affair with us, you know, and a hood affair too. I'm still in the trenches, like for real. Like, man, I'm a high school teacher, man, in the South End. Come on, man. Kids coming in with house arrest anklets and stuff like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And to a few of them, art is their outlet, so I'm here for that, you know. Like the same way Sneed got me off the street and got me off that bullshit. Like maybe I might find the next me out here. I have, hella times actually. You know what I mean? So. Nah, that's what it's about at the end of the day, you know. So after high school, me and that's when Ghetto Children kind of started rolling a lot. And shout out to Mike Clark. Mike Clark got us a demo deal with Geffen Records. I wasn't quite making money yet, but I was getting my stripes DJing at house parties though. That's my beginnings. Just house party. Oh, we're throwing a party for the homies. We're gonna have a spouty, old school. Like, that's back when guys had 40 ounces and fill the fridge with 40s. Have some tree and whatever you have up from there. Man, I come with Crater Records. And there'll be a couple of us. Me and Top Spin and them, or I done been to some Cun Love joints. He used to do the college joint, so I used to go over there and watch him. This is the early days, Jay Styles and all those guys, like all these old school DJs. The first guy that really let me get on in public for real and do a set was Cun Love. It would be a privilege to get on the wheels back then, and there was a rite of passage on the turntables. You couldn't just be like, I'm a DJ. An old school guy had to put you on and vet you first, which it should be that way now, but I don't know. And if the wrong guy vetted you, some super OGs might come and haze you or something. It was like really that competitive back then. But of course, I was built for all that, so I wasn't tripping too tough. Plus, I came on the Sugar Bear, and those guys were the most bulliest of the bullies ever. And then there was this black grunge group named Image, and we'd open up for them. And those were our first downtown gigs, but it was always opening up for a rock group. Great genre start out like that. Rock and roll was the same shit, man. If you wasn't thorough, you might get fucked up at a rock and roll show back in the day. When it was still black. And when it turned white. You still might get fucked up. Music and culture, like, if the culture in the land you're in is fucked up, and you might get your ass beat anytime outside the venue, then of course it's gonna carry into the venue, right? You can't say it was hip hop. I say that was the times, where, all right, all this gang culture was infiltrating all the neighborhoods, so everybody got guns. Somebody might be tripping. Everybody got 40 ounces, or the wrong people got them or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a different kind of time. One of the illest people that really bugged me out in the studio, Freeway for sure bugged me out. You play him the beat, he kind of goes in the corner and he mumbles. Then they just walk in the booth. Look, watching Black Thought work is crazy. Watching Nas work was crazy. Oh, Raphael Sadiq was crazy. He has a lot of resources in his, like, one of the tightest studios I've been into, where I was like, damn, you got everything I would use. Yep. Must be nice. Raphael Sadiq. Jump in his Ferrari and he's out. Nah, I'm getting in a Honda when I leave. I've recently developed a pretty tight brotherhood with P Rock in like the last 5 years. He does all the crazy stuff I used to do in '94. Just spending all days in the record store and, oh, there's a snare on this one record, and he's obsessing over this one snare off of this one record. Oh, you do that shit too? And he'd be like, I should have known that's what you was doing. Like when they talk about what I'm doing or something, like, to where we could hear what each other's doing, but we don't know until you get around each other and you're like, oh, that's what you was doing? That's what machine you made that on? We used the same machine? Like, oh, what? Oh, like, that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I don't even know the question you asked me. Where were we going with this? I mean, of course, hip-hop was my out. If it wasn't for hip-hop, what would I be doing? Fixing washing machines? What would I be doing? An electrician or something? I don't know. Some with my hands, because I'm a hand dude like that. No Diddy, no baby oil, but just hands. I just met Grandmaster Flash, was introduced to him, like in an intimate setting, about a month ago, right? Which is ill. He knew he knew my music and was like Jazzy Jeff was like, yo, that's Vitamin D right there. And he was like, yo. And he was like, and I'm like, what you, like, hold on, don't take the humble stance with me, man. No, yo, like, we were sitting there bowing to each other. It was funny, like that's crazy that Grandmaster Flash knows who I am, but at the same time, I got to personally thank him for my career, for my life. the way it stands now. You know what I mean? Like if that guy didn't figure out how to rock a break like that, where would we all be? You know? That's bucket list shit right there. I thank Theodore too, bro.
So cool.
You know how many hours of scratching I've done in my life? Yeah, like, come on, man. I'm thankful, man. Thank you for my path, you know? It's like, dude, like Jazzy Jeff, for instance. It's like, bro, you know how many times I practiced the scratches I heard on the records you made so I can get nice at what I do? And he's like, huh? You dumb nice. So what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I better inspire somebody else and do the same thing you did for me, right? Like, I just love this shit, you know? I love being a part of greatness. I love being greatness. Man, you know, I feel blessed in that aspect. That's the best way I can put it.